Hi, welcome to Gene Rants. I'm Gene, and today, we're going to be going back to Ukraine, Russia again. I thought I was done with this. I was hoping I was done with this subject because lots of stuff to talk about, and the last two vlogs were about Russia, Ukraine, but there was a big development. I have to talk about it again. It's very important, and I have to also shortly digress, briefly before going to that subject, because I just have to share this. This came in, I'm recording this the day before you're seeing it, so you may already know this, but remember that big suit against Donald Trump for mortgage fraud by Letitia James, Attorney General of New York. It was a $364 million judgment against him that with interest since then has ballooned to $515 million. Or has it? Because, let's put up this headline. Breaking, appeals court tosses $515 million fraud judgment against Trump in New York fraud case. So not a good day for Letitia James, who, by the way, I don't want to get way off on a track, but who is being, I think has already gone to a grand jury, but she's at least being investigated for, guess what, mortgage fraud, the same thing that, not exactly the same. In Trump's case, it was falsifying or inflating the value of Mar-a-Lago to get a larger loan or more favorable interest rate on a loan from Deutsche Bank. In her case, in James's case, it's claiming two residences as her principal residence, but again for the same goal, to get more favorable loans on one of the homes. So the one that really was not a principal residence. So that has been tossed. Don't want to get off on a track on that. Maybe it could be a separate vlog. If you're interested, let me know. Give you all the details of what the circumstances were. But you have to remember, though, I will say this, Letitia James, she's being investigated for committing a felony, a crime. There's a sentence of up to 30 years, if you didn't know that, for mortgage fraud. Trump's case, it wasn't a criminal case. You have to remember this. It was a lawsuit, so there was no crime committed. Letitia James admitted it herself. It was a suit. She sued him. So no commission, no chance, $550 million judgment, presumably, no chance of jail time. It wasn't a crime, so very big difference there. So interesting to see what happens with Letitia James if she gets convicted of that which she falsely convicted or accused Trump of doing. So, okay, now to Russia. This is the important thing, because you may remember last Friday, big summit. I guess you could call it the monster who came in from the cold. Putin, because of what he's doing in Ukraine, he was a pariah. He still is in most of the world, except that Trump, as I said, brought him in from the cold, legitimized him in a way by meeting him in Alaska, Anchorage, Alaska. It was Putin who asked for the meeting, and Trump invited him. Now, I think I said at the time it looked like a mistake. That was the first of the previous two vlogs, and I hoped something would happen. And then I was surprised when it was reported that Putin agreed to meet Trump, to meet Zelensky one-on-one, and all this optimism, just like Neville Chamberlain. I used actually Neville Chamberlain in one of the image of him in one of the thumbnails from one of those vlogs. Same thing. Peace for our time. Peace for our time. And we all know how that turned out. And I was hoping to be wrong this time, but I don't know. Trump. I don't want to get off on things I already said. This is Putin's answer. Okay, supposedly he said he was going to agree to meet him. Now remember that this meeting that just happened in Alaska. Putin asked for agreed or wanted to meet Trump in Alaska. From the time that prospect was broached until the actual meeting in Alaska was about a week, 1 week. So we'll see how quickly this meeting that's supposed to happen between Zelensky and Putin will take the schedule. I predict never. That's how long it will take. When hell freezes over, that's when that meeting will happen, unless there is a considerable pressure on Putin, which Trump does not want to apply. We'll get into that. But the main thing is that, okay, Trump came back from that meeting very optimistic and said, see, you can make a deal, and that's the important, because that's everything to Trump. That's what he said. He was actually quoted, why do you think this could work out? And there's a deal. And he says, well, because I make deals. That's what I do. So what I can tell you, that because I am a real estate broker, licensed real estate broker, and Trump's experience is in real estate, and I can tell you that you cannot always make a deal. Some deals just cannot be made. So this is what Putin just did. This is his response. Basically, well, look at the vid. This is what Putin just did. What you just saw, that is a video of an attack by Putin on Trump. After all this, 574 drones. 574 drones, the third largest Russian attack on Ukraine. So Putin spit in his face. Trump was generous, and Putin spit in his face. Let me give you this other headline right here, a headline and a couple of quotes. NATO scrambles warplanes as Russia hits near Romanian border in Ukraine. 2 German warplanes were scrambled overnight from Romania after Russia launched a large-scale missile and drone attack in Ukraine less than a mile from the NATO borderline. Despite last week's talks between Russian President Vladimir Putin and President Donald Trump, Moscow has continued its aerial bombardment of Ukraine, including in an overnight attack that targeted oil and port facilities in the Odessa region on and near the Danube River, which separates the Ukrainian border with the allied NATO nation of Romania. So that's his response. That was Putin's response, despite last week's talks. That's what he did, and the fighting goes on right now. The idea was for Trump to demand a ceasefire, and if he didn't get one, to walk out. A ceasefire, he took it off the table. Now he's going to arrange this meeting. Now remember, the one that just happened in Alaska took a week to arrange, during which Russia continued to attack. Now, what we're apparently going to see, unless Trump gets smart and does what he should have done back in February when he chewed out Zelensky from just telling Trump from experience, or he was actually speaking to Vice President Vance. But when you talk about what diplomacy are you talking about? That was what Zelensky said to Putin. I mean to Vance, and they chewed they tag teamed him, Trump and Vance. And so this time, this meeting that just happened in the White House with Zelensky and the leaders of the European Union, and well, he was very nice, wore a suit. Zelensky kept quiet, and that's all he can do. He can just sit there and watch as Russia attacks again, day after day after day, for every day that Trump is talking about scheduling this supposed meeting between Zelensky and Putin. That he just dragging stuff out. Now, what would have happened if, because there is, as somebody has suggested, well, let me give you this headline. This is from the New York Post. It's an editorial. Hit Putin with sanctions now to get him to sit down with that would be Zelensky, and talk peace. And that is the right thing to do. There's three things, as I said in the past, that Trump is threatening that we have the power, we with our allies, or even just we have the power to crush the Russian economy. Number one, drill, baby, drill, drive down the price of oil to $40 a barrel or below. And even now, Putin is suffering because he's selling, nobody will buy oil from him except for China and India. Now, I don't know about China. I haven't read that one, but I know India is getting a discounted price. I have to imagine that China is getting something too. So the world, last time I checked, the price of oil on the world market was about 63 bucks a barrel. So so Putin is not getting 63 bucks from India. Whether it's down to 40, I don't know. But that's one thing to do. Lower and work with the Saudis and everybody temporarily. We work with us. We're your ally. Let's pump more oil, sell more oil, Saudi Arabia and other countries that have oil. Norway has a lot of oil. They could do that too. And drive down the price of oil, number one. Number two, John Kennedy, the senator, Republican senator, said the other thing to do right away is seize the 350, slightly over, I don't remember the exact number, over $300 billion in financial assets, Russian assets, that are held in Europe. Seize that right away and give the money to Ukraine to pay for Ukraine's waging, fighting back, and thereby making Russia pay for both sides' military expenses. So, and number three, remove Russian banks from the SWIFT system. It's called the SWIFT system. I won't go into detail about what that is, but in a nutshell, it's the mechanism that allows banks to do international business. You take Russia out of the SWIFT system, and they basically can't do business with other banks outside Russia. That's what it boils down to. Do those things, as that Post editorial said. Do do all three things now. But my question, they should have do we ever get to a point where Trump, I mean, it's too much to expect an apology, but where Trump listens to Zelensky? Zelensky knows what's going on, and those sanctions should have been put on back then in February and held on and held even until now. They maybe would not even have had to have gone until now before Russia would have to cave. Again, I go back to Ronald Reagan. He didn't do this, let's make a deal junk. He said, we win, they lose. And that doesn't mean Ukraine wins and Russia loses. It means we win, which means the whole free world wins and Russia loses. Just crush the Russian economy, make it impossible for Russia to do business with anybody. Then you have some leverage. And that's what Trump should have done before this meeting. He should never have agreed to meet with Putin. But Trump, he just, number one, he will never admit he's wrong. I can't, he likes to crow whenever he's proven right and says, yeah, you said I was wrong, I was right about this, right about this. He never admits when he was wrong, and he's wrong on tariffs too. And he cannot ever admit error, and that is a big problem that is going to happen. He's going to say, I mean, it's my prediction that he's going to say, as he said before, I'm very disappointed in Putin. He did not do what I wanted him to do. And there was even now I don't know, some talking head, and I don't think it was a representative or a senator. I think it was just a talking head, but saying that Trump has to pressure Putin and Zelensky. Why pressure Zelensky? I don't understand that. Pressure, I mean, if you have two evenly, I can see a situation, I can imagine a situation that doesn't exist where you would have to do that, but this is not that situation because we have the power to crush the Russian economy. We have the power to get Russia completely out of Ukraine, and it's not a matter of supplying weapons. As I said in an earlier vlog, Reagan got the USSR, got Gorbachev out of Ukraine and Azerbaijan and Lithuania and all these countries and Poland, all the countries of the Warsaw Pact, got them all out of all those countries without firing a shot. No, never mind American soldiers, no soldiers at all. All he did was do what Trump has the power to do with economic sanctions, but he won't do it, and it's really sad. I mean, he may eventually do it, but I mean, just as he is, give him credit as he came around on Israel, he's no longer talking about deals. And partial hostage releases, as Netanyahu no longer is. He's saying all the hostages and Hamas has to be eliminated, but Netanyahu could have told them that, a year ago, 2 years ago. So let's hope that, what they talk about, the old saying about the triumph of hope over experience. Let's hope that experience triumphs over hope in Trump's case, and that, I mean, I voted for Trump, and given the alternative, I would vote for him again in a heartbeat. Or if I had to do over in 2024, knowing what I know now, I would still vote for him. But I am so disappointed. I am so what the president that he could have been. He could have been another Reagan, and economically maybe he will, except for these tariffs. We'll see how that turns out. But which we are paying, not China's not paying, European Union, they're not paying the tariffs. We are paying the tariffs. And, well, don't get me started on that. That could be a future vlog. I'm going to wind it up for today. So thanks. That's how I usually do these things. When I feel myself starting to ramble, well, maybe you felt me starting to ramble, 1 minute into the into the vlogs. Sorry, I do the best I can. But anyways, old man shouting at clouds, a lot of clouds, a lot of shouting to be done. But for now, that's it. Your comments always welcome. You can shout at the clouds textually in the comment section, or shout at me, and subscribe. That would really be great. Share this video with anyone you think would benefit from it. But most of all, come back and see me again. I'd love to see all of you again. And until I do see all of you again, bye.